Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Leilul Nishmat Mordechai. My name is Avram Binun. I'm Ashkenaz, not Sephardi. My grandfather's from Germany. Bekitz, trying to explain Binun. We have a yeshiva right here next door to us. It's Binun. But what he's trying to say is he's doing the daf on and off for 14 years with over 25 rabbeim. When I found you online, I wake up and I have a big drive to the daf. Avrumi bin Nun. But boys, I checked this one out. This is a good one. Yitz Burger. In this heat, what else says Gishmak is a pool? This is my 9-year-old Tzaddik Ezra who wants to start doing the daf with me. Here it is. Unbelievable. Check this out. Nice volume.
Good morning, Rabbi Sai. It's Gishmak to do the daf.
Gishmak to do the daf, he says. You're laughing. You want to check this out. The Gishmak to do. Okay, next. How about this one? We have here Reb Mendy Werdiger, MBD's brother, Sholi Wasserthil, Rabbi Avi Factor, Rabbi Chaim Nissel. Check this. Anachman, Menachem. Here he is. He's the one that spoke first, no?
Yes.
This, where's this, Rabbi? So where's this? Norway, Flam, Norway. Here we go. This is how the adults do it.
Come on,
Eitan or Kavi. My name is Eitan from Boston. I'm 13 years old. After my mitzvah a few months ago, I joined the daf, and ever since I found you share, I've been learning with you and have helped me learn these hard mesechtas, yivams, and Kesubos. Thank you for giving me chizuk. I hope I can finish Shas with you. Eitan. My name, Shalom Alecho Rabbi Umayri Harav Rebbe Eli Shlita. Ever since I discovered you share at the beginning of Yavamis, you have literally changed my life in capital. Please allow me to explain as I drive every day to and from London. I listen to your daily shir and then go back to the beginning of Shas at an average of 2 shirim per day. So I no longer listen to the news, which used to cause me anxiety. This in turn has changed me into a much calmer person. He uses his time wisely. An important note to anyone that has any sort of smart device or computer, when they go to eternal bye-bye, one of the questions is, did you learn Torah? To which some of you may have good legitimate excuses, but they have a smart device or work by computer, the Malach will say, you didn't have 40 minutes to just listen to a shir. Tuli from Kenvei. It says pronounce Kuf Ayin Nun Vav Vav Yud. Kenvei. You could say whatever you want. That's not how he says to pronounce. Canvey. Tuli from Canvey Island. Zevi Tyberg and Moshe Wilner from Staten Island, Shomrim supervisor. Baruch Hashem, your audience is so large at this point, I'm sure that one of your Talmidim will have connection to every story you say. My wife's first cousin is the girl in the story you mentioned at the end of today's shir about Rabbi Ramnik and the Kiddushin of a Ketana. Somebody else also came over to me after shir. That was the guy that was trying to mess up his family by being Mekadesh, his young daughter, and Rabbi Ramnik Paskin that she's not Mekudeshes. That tzaddik is sitting in jail right now, he said, based on Rabbi Ramnik, for a different reason. He's a great guy. Based on Rabbi Ramnik's psak, my wife's cousin got married and has 2 children, and it was Misadik Yidushin at her wedding. Oy vey, maybe she'd erase that because I heard in jail we have a big following also. I'm not kidding. Yeah, no, they have a lot of shiurim in Otisville and stuff. I'm not saying people that are there. I have no idea. I have no idea. No clue. I'm making that up. Next see him in Otisville, Rabbi Sai. I don't know. Are you? If I put this, Gary, if I put this by my mic, would you be able to hear it? On the. There's a very good message here, a few good messages actually, but I'll just play one. This is from a doctor. You ready? Let's see if you could hear it over here.
Shalom, what's up? I have to give you a Nachas report, and I guess you could pass it on to the appropriate party. I was treating in the hospital today, and I walked into this patient's room. He literally just got off a ventilator, and he's sitting up in his bed. He's on oxygen.
Okay, let me do it again.
Hey, Shalom, what's up? I have to give you a Nachas report, and I guess you could pass it on to the appropriate party. I was treating in the hospital today, and I walked into this patient's room. He literally just got off a ventilator, and he's sitting up in his bed. He's on oxygen still, and he's sitting there watching Eli Stefansky's Daf Yomi with his Gemara open. And I thought that was it was a beautiful sight to see. This patient's in the hospital, and he's just in the daf. He has to do the daf. He's connected to the daf, and there's nothing else in the world that's going on now. It doesn't matter that he has IVs running. It doesn't matter that he can't breathe. And it was just really a beautiful sight to see. So I guess if you want to pass it on to Eli Stefansky, I just think it's a big chizuk, and it was a real nachas, real special moment.
From a doctor in a hospital. All right, Rabbi Isai, today's koilel. Oh, I forgot. So the koilel is sponsored. The last time he did it was zchus shiduchim for his family. So I don't know. We'll wait for him to say, but we have a new sponsor this month. The Masechta, the first sponsor is Leilul Nishmat Moshe Los benot Shalom, Leilul Nishmat Yosef Baruch Moshe Aaron, and for that hatzlacha b'chol hayanim for my children. The second sponsor of the Masechta is Jeff Razin, and zchus my son Yosef Simcha Chaim ben Refuah Shlaima. But the Lock and Lebovic families like in New Jersey, the Parnas HaChodesh, because Torah is the best, segula. Parnas HaChodesh number 2, as a zchus for our children to be kadosh, safe, healthy, happy, and know that Hashem loves them. Parnas HaChodesh number 3, Shragi Chafetz RL149, as a zchus for my family and myself and for the Tzaddikim of RL Hatzalah. Parnas HaChodesh number 4, Leilul Nishmat Zechurya ben Moshe. Parnas HaShavua, Akilov family, Leilul Nishmat Leo ben Bakmal Akilov. Parnas HaYoim, Micheskel and Safi Gabai. In honor of our dear brother, Rabbi Mordechai Aharonoff, who came to attend from Los Angeles. Yishkoyach for being here. Seischem l'shalom, oboyachem l'shalom. What? Huh? You finished. Okay. And Refuah Shlaima for Liba Ariela Bas Ita Sara, Liba Ariela Bas Ita Sara. Okay. Yeah, what are you tying? Welcome back, Tzaddik. Yeah, now I'm going to move it. All right, Rabbi Isai, we're holding the Amud Aleph. I sent him the picture, he didn't show it, sorry. No, it's coming. It went into the queue. Now that you're here, we for sure don't. No. Daf Amud Aleph. So, we started the sugya. It starts from 6 lines at the bottom of Daf Amud Beis, Torah Rabbanon. We'll just say about Peh. Over here, as you see on the screen, there are 2 yisoides that we have to deal with. When Eidim testify to the signatures in a document, there are 2 things that we have to consider. If they testify, these are our signatures, however, this and this happened. What happened? Well, there are 2 problems that could occur. First of all, we have a problem of kivin shehigid, shuven chayzor magid. So Eidim, once they testify, they cannot recant. They cannot adjust their testimony. So that's problem number 1. Problem number 2 is that an aid doesn't have the ability to make himself into a Rasha. So if he says, I did something bad, I shouldn't have done it, it was illegal for me back then to sign my name, but I signed it anyway, we can't trust him because they know the Mesim Atzim Rasha. If we don't have these 2 problems, then we could believe them. If we have any one of these 2 problems, we can't believe them. That's basically the whole sugya. So Rameir says that if Eidim come and say, we were relatives back then, but we're not relatives anymore, we had a gun to our head, but we're not, we had a sign, we don't trust them. So the Gemara says, why? Now here on this chart, you see the 3 things that could possibly happen. Well, if they said we were puzzled to Eidos, that can't be true, we can't trust them. Why? Because the Malv is going to be Medayik. If they're going to say that we were Ktanim, says Rameir, that's not true because nobody's going to use a 5-year-old to sign his document. We have a chazaka that's not. What about Anusim? Somebody put a gun to our head and literally threatened our life. Forget about that he said. If he said, I'm going to make I'm going to take your house away. I put a gun there. I'm going to take your house. Of course you can't listen. But he said, I'm going to take your life. So, says the Gemara, Rameir still says we can't believe him. Why? Because of the problem of Ein Adam Mesim Atzmi Rasha. He makes himself a. Why does he make himself a? Because he should have let him blow his head off. He should have. Says the Gemara, Omer Av Chizda, 2 lines down. Kosaver Meir Eidim Shomer Lem Chismu Sheker V'al Te'argu Yehargu V'al Yachtemu. They should have let them be killed. They shouldn't have signed. And since they signed, and they're admitting that they signed with a gun to their head, that makes them a Rasha, and a person doesn't have a right to make himself a Rasha. Therefore, we can't trust them. You testified it's your signature. We trust you, it's your signature. Now you want to explain that you were a Rasha 5 years ago because somebody put a gun to your head and you fell for it and you signed? We're not going to trust you, you're a Rasha. It's unbelievable. How do you explain such a thing? Whoever held that if somebody puts a gun to you, you have to give up your life?
You're tzaddik. You're saving your life.
Yeah, you're supposed to. Here, so the Gemara says it in a second. But what's the Havamina? So there are those who want to say that it's maybe a midas chasidus. It's a shayla. Could you give up your life when you don't have to? If it's only 3 things, or perhaps no. There was a story I once heard from Rabbi Chil Yaakovson. He's a famous mechanech here in Eretz Yisrael. I used to listen to his tapes a lot back in the day when it was still, on a tape. Remember that place, like in Meir Sharm, you go up there and you buy like 100 tapes and kids are fine. So he said once that his uncle was an accountant back in Germany or whatever, and the Germans came to him and said, "We want you to tell us where this guy's money is and how much it is." So he said, okay, look. He went to the Rav and he asked the Rav, am I allowed to give it up? They threatened him. The Rav said, I don't know. So he decided on his own that he's not going to give up the information. So the Nazis tortured him, and in between tortures, they would take their cigarettes and put it out on his body. So he had a lot of like round burn marks on his body from not saying where that guy's money is. So did he do the right thing? Did he not do the right thing? But you see that people took these things seriously. And some people give up their lives. Nevertheless, there's it's based actually on the Gemara, the famous Gemara that David HaMelech went and asked the Gdolim, could he save his life from the Plishtim by taking the Jewish wheat, the Gadish? And they said it's asur. So everybody asked, but the bottom line is, the Shulchan Aruch paskins, that let's say you have to take somebody's money. You're dying. You have to, if you don't steal, you're going to die. Yeah? Could a guy hasn't eaten in 4 days and he walks into the Makola, the Jewish-owned store, could he chop a snack and run out? So you could only if you have intent to give it back. That's what the Shulchan Aruch paskins. So anytime you do one of these things, you have to have in mind to pay back. You don't just have a heter to steal, even to save your own life. And then the big shilas, what about organ transplants, to take from the dead? All these shilas you're saving lives. V'chulu v'chulu. Okay, it's a big shilah. I'll go upon him, says Rav. Omalei Rav. Hashti lo asl kamalim luchi. But if the guy came and asked the Rav, Amrin luhu, zilu chatzum avleisis katlon, zu gesund. Zu gesund. So, that's a new one. I'm not looking who it is, but Shalom Aleichem, wherever you are. It must be a new guy. All right, so if you go, get over here. Don't get over here. Okay, so if a guy comes and asks the Rav is going to say, of course you don't give up your life for this. You only give up your life for 3 things. Yes, we learned there's other cases like Arkis and Nisane. If they tell you to switch the color of your shoelaces, you have to give up your life. But that's only in a time of Shmad, Gzeira, etc. So what's going on here? He's not mechuyev to give up his life. He did what the Rav told him to do. The Rav would tell him to sign, so he signed. Shema Yisrael. Says the Gemara, Elatayim the Remeir. Now we go back to the chart. Instead of having 3 reasons for each thing, now we have 1 reason that explains everything. Time of the Remeir kid Rav Huna Marav, Dom Rav Huna Marav, Moide Bishtar Shiksavoy, Ein Tzarich Lekaimoi. If the loiva, the borrower, comes forward and says, this shtar is a good shtar, forget the witnesses, forget the signatures. I admit that I borrowed money and this is a good shtar. I want to qualify what I'm saying. but I paid it back. No. We believe you that it's a good shtar. We don't believe anything else after those words. So he's not believed. Nobody has to get witnesses now and verify the signatures, and it's a good shtar. Why? Because the logic is, if you in fact paid it back, why did you leave it by the malva? Why did you leave it by the lender? You should have taken it back from him. The fact that you left it by the lender, by the malva, you're lying now. But I do believe you that's a good shtar. So now, you need Eidim. The Eidim say, we were anusim. We were forced. But we don't need the Eidim. We don't need Eidim in this case. Why? Because the Leiv already verified that the shtar is a good shtar. So when the Eidim come forward and say, yes, it's our signatures, but we had a gun to our head, get out of here. Bye-bye. We don't need you. The Leiv already did your job. The Leiv already said that the signatures are good. So now you cannot qualify why you signed it, and that's what's going on here. What do Chacham hold? Chachamim hold that the Leiva has a pesha asar, a pesha hitter. The Leiva came forward and said, this is a good shtar, but I paid it. So now we believe the Leiva. So he doesn't have to pay. So when the Eidim come and they say, Anusim Oyinu, they ruin the shtar. Says the Gemara, if so, Gufa. Comes Rav and says one halacha. That anybody that admits to the shtar is a good shtar. Rav Nachman, Ganova, what are you, a Ganev, Ganuvi Lamelach? Why are you sneaking? Why are you being sneaky, says Rav Nachman to Rav? You're pretending, Isvir Lach Meir, Ema Lach Meir. Well, we have Machlekes and Rameir Rabbanan. And when Rameir argues on Rabbanan, we're going to have to trust Rabbanan. They're the majority. So why are you sneaking in halacha that you believe that halacha is like Rameir and pretending that nobody else argues on Rameir? Because you probably want to get the halacha through. You want Klal Yisrael to believe that the halacha is like you believe, like Rameir. So you don't even mention Chachamim. If you were honest, so to speak, if you were not sneaky, you would say, hey, I hold like Rameir, but you should know the Chachamim argue and did the Rabbim, and the halacha is like the Rabbim. Ganuve lamalach. Why are you sneaking? Amar lei, he also come on the dino. Sorry. Amar lei umar heiches sevirlei. So what is he asking him? How does that answer? I'm sneaky, and what do you hold? So Rav wasn't sure what Rav Nachman wanted. Rav wasn't sure if Rav Nachman was just upset that he was being a sneak, but that in fact Allah is like Rameir. He should just not do it sneaky. He should be honest, or I shouldn't use that lashon, but he should be straightforward and tell the Olam what's going on. Or Rav Nachman actually argues on Rav and says, "Wait a minute, I don't even hold like you. Why are you pretending that's a cut clear halacha that everybody holds like Rameir? I myself don't hold like you." So he asks him, "Umar heiches sevirlei." But what did you mean by that? Do you argue on me, or you don't argue on me? Just you think that I did it in the wrong way. Omer lei, I argue on you. Two things are going on. First of all, I don't agree that Allah is like Rameir, because when people come to me, ledina amin lu zilu kaimish taraychu v'chusu ledina, go be mekayim the shtar. In other words, the loivet doesn't. He holds. And Mela, you need the Eidim, and the Eidim passel up the shtar. Yeah? Again, if you need the Eidim, so anytime you need the Eidim, then you have a pesha asa pesha iter. The Eidim are going to say, okay, these are our signatures, we don't trust the loiva, you need me, so I'm going to qualify, these are my signature, this is my signature, but I had a gun to my head. So, Nachamal, Rav Nachman holds, like Chachamim, that we don't trust the loiv in this case. Okay. Omer Rabbi Yehuda Omer Rav. Ha'omer shtar manuza. So now, let's go back, to go back to these two things. So now, beautiful Shas Katan, we're going to go through different types of documents. The Eidim are going to say this document called an amana So what's an amana? Amana means that I made a shtar, I gave a shtar, it's a fake shtar for now. In other words, I, the loiva, say that I admit that this shtar was written with Eidim, but I, the loiva, say I never took money out on it. So why is it by the malva? It's a funny thing. I gave a shtar to the malva, I'm a borrower, I gave it to the lender who never lent me any money, and it says in the shtar, I owe the lender $1 million. So why do you give it to him? Doesn't make sense. What? Line of credit. Something like that. So Rashi and Amud Beis kind of explains it, because when you read it, it doesn't make any sense. Why would somebody be so stupid? Because what's happening is, the lender is going to give him a loan. He's going to give him $1 million next week. The lender is, the only reason he's giving him $1 million is because the borrower has collateral. He has a house. He has a business. But he's concerned that by the time he gets his money together to give it to the borrower's going to run and sell his stuff. So what does he do? He makes a document saying from today, all the borrower's belongings and real estate are meshubed to the lender. And the borrower thinks that the lender is a nice guy. He's an honest man. And he agrees to put up all his belongings as collateral, all, whatever it is, $1 million worth, because next week the lender is going to give him $1 million. So in return, I'm giving you a shtar today. We have an agreement. You're not going to lie and say that you gave me the $1 million. You're a nice guy. You lend everybody money. But that's not what happened. He trusted him, and now it was $1 million. The lender couldn't control himself. Now the loiva says, well, yeah, he has a shtar for $1 million, but he never gave me money. So of course we're not going to believe him, right? And says the Gemara, the Kamarman, wait a minute. Who exactly is the one that's saying that it's not a real shtar? So here we have on the chart, there's three options. Either the borrower, the lender, or the Eidim. Says the Gemara, if it's the borrower, of course he's not believed. Because anybody that has a shtar is going to say, oh, it's not a good shtar. He never gave me money on it. So why should I trust you? Then you just took all the stars in the world and made them worthless. What about the malva? The malva says, oh, I never lent him money. Yishkoyach, so you never lent him money. So rip it up instead. Tavayel of bracha. It's a great thing. No, so it's the Eidim. The Eidim, well, it depends. That's what we had in the Mishnah. Sometimes the Eidim are believed. If we have nobody else that could verify the signatures, then they're believed 100%. They could qualify and say, no, is Amana, didn't happen yet, or no. Or it's verified for, says the Gemara, let's see. The Kamar man, I should trust him. Why not? It's a beautiful shtar. It's a perfect shtar. Yeah, for the future. It's going to happen next week. Yeah. So what you're saying is a Russia. Yeah. It's
So you can't believe them because they're Rishon, because they're signing out a bad act.
Exactly. That's exactly what's happening here. Well, in a way. We'll see. Hold on. Yeah. Let's see in a second. Now, okay. There's still reason here to say that the loiva is a little bit more believed than usual. Usually, the loiva said, the malva could say, why do I have a shtar? But over here, the loiva is kind of explaining his words. He's explaining why he has a shtar, because I gave it to him in advance. He's explaining a little bit what's going on here. Vela de kamer malva. Tavayel of bracha. If the malva, who's holding onto the shtar, says, by the way, the shtar is not a good shtar, I never gave him the $1 million, beautiful. Tavayel of bracha. The Rambam says that the best tzedakah a person could give, very interesting, is lending somebody money and not requesting it back, lending it. So this is Tavei Bracha. This is the best bracha in the world. You lend somebody money, and now you're saying, no, I don't need it anymore. No, it never happened. The Malva is, you could say that's the pshat over here. He actually lent him money, just he's lying, and he's trying to be nice to the life, but don't worry about it. You don't have to pay it back. Elo, the Kamri Edim. So, what if the Edim said? If we already know that this is their signature, now they're not believed. Why are they not believed? So it doesn't fit in to those two squares that we saw in the beginning. Here's the problem. Once they say testimony, we have their eidos, they cannot explain their eidos anymore. Why are they not believed if we don't know their signatures? So look at this. So here we have the three things that we saw before. It's either the loiva, or the malva, or the edim. And we have three man damrim. We have Rava, Abaya, and Ravashi, and the Gemara gives it a siman bash. The base from Rava, the aleph from Abaya, and the shin from Ravashi. Interesting. Each one grabbed one of the three possibilities and says that's how the sugi is going. Very simple stuff. It's the loiva. Now you said the loiva shouldn't be believed. Why shouldn't the loiva be believed? The malva has a star, and all of a sudden you're going to believe a loiva. It's the loiva who is making the star into something. So I would think that we should believe him. Abaya Omar loilam domar malva ukigoin shechav lacherim. It's very interesting. Just this week, last week maybe, guy told me that one of his good friends doesn't have any money, owes the whole world money. He came into a nice sum of money, enough to buy a Sefer Torah. So he went and he took the whole thing and he bought a Sefer Torah. Tell me how chashiv this guy is. And I told him, I don't understand. He owes money and he wrote a Sefer Torah? Why is that chashiv? He's arguing with me. It's chashiv. It's not chashiv at all. He owes all these people money. He should have taken this money and paid back debt. No, that'll do later. But he'll never have a chance to write a Sefer Torah in his life. It's very good. Priorities, my friend. You owe money, get it go. I'm serious. We had this discussion. Priyas B'Chayv Mitzvah, but not as big as writing Sefer Torah, making a whole thing in the neighborhood with lights and everything. Nobody knows. It's against the minhag, right? It's not against the minhag. Fine. But that's what's going on over here. He owes money to somebody else. So you don't have a mitzvah. You want to be a big tzaddik. You call up the loiv and said, you borrowed money from me. I'm moichel. Whoa, what a big tzaddik. You're not a tzaddik. Because that money should be going to the people you owe money to. This is a Shas Katan alert. This is Shibuda de Reb Nosson, the famous concept Shibuda de Reb Nosson. And what is that? That is that if I owe you money and you owe somebody else money, that somebody else could go directly to the first person and take the money. I had a mice here, and I was misubik if I should say it or not, and Hassan again told me not to say it. And so of course I'm going to say it because he told me not to. Nachman Seltzer for sure told me not to. There was a brisker. He had his wife made chont, so he took the chont. But I'm only saying it to be mamchish the yisoid, to remember this yisoid, because he took the chont and put it in the toilet. So the guy said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Shibuda de Reb Nosson. I should eat it and then go there? I'm putting it straight there." But because Nisanel told me I shouldn't say the Maisa, I made a chart for it. Hold on. Here we go. Here's the chont. Instead of going to the brisker and then going to this, it goes straight into the... Now, you take that chart here, put it in your head stark. The guy on top owes money to the potato head. And the potato head owes money to Yossi Klein. So the Rishiva should pay Yossi Klein directly. Okay? It's klar? Klar. Did it add it? Rabbi say, should have I shown this or not? Now that's Lacha Ma'isa. What? I got 1 thumbs up. That's it? Just 1? 2 thumbs up. Okay, good. Yes or no? You know who's going to say no? Steinhardt. Yes or no? Eli, why do you need these things? Please, Eli, we got this shot without that. Okay. We just lost 2 guys from Gateshead. Okay, Zok the Gemara. How do you know this idea of Shibud the Rib Nasan? That if I owe you money and you owe the other guy could come straight to me. Osham loy, says Rashi, it should have said Lasher Hilvo. What's this Lashon Osham? Osham is a Lashon of Karen, of the principal. You go directly to the guy that has the principal, the original guy. You don't buy Sifri Torah. You pay up your loan. Rav Ashi Omar, so now if we go back here to the 3rd shot. Now, maybe it's the Eidim. Rav Ashi says it's the Eidim. Again, you have a shtar amana, you have a shtar that's baloney, it's bogus. Nothing ever happened. There was no loan that was taken out. But the lender is holding on to it and he says, so-and-so owes me money. The Eidim are the ones that say it's an amana. And we don't know that it's their signatures. We have to come on to the witnesses. And you're asking me, so they should be believed. It's also to write such a shtar, to have such a shtar. You shouldn't have in your house something that's an avla. Yeah? So Rabbi said, before we turn the page, we had an unbelievable year of Torah, of Daf, every single day, and people brought other people to Torah. It was an unbelievable year. But sometimes you have to take inventory and say, maybe I have something in my house that doesn't belong there. Everybody has their own little thing. Something that doesn't belong in your house. You're not allowed to leave in your house something that could cause whatever it is. You test Amud Beis. I thought about that also. Guy has a dog, Lamashal. Guy has a gun, not in a guy has whatever it is, an Aveira, a this, an Avla. Daf Yomi Beis, sponsored by Moshe Horn in honor of Rabbi Tzvi Medetsky, the only Rebbe that was actually good at basketball. And then we have, you're not going to believe this, by Hudi Newman, in honor of Reb Eli, the real greatest Jewish basketball player who ever lived. And by Yankel Cohen, the official MDY MSP. First, yeah. So if they didn't come and say, oh, we signed on a shtar that never happened, we just gave it to him in advance, why? Because ein other mesim atzmi rasha. So back to this, I don't know where it is. Here we go. Here are the 2 problems that could ruin the Eidim from saying Eidos and testifying their own signatures. We have ein mesim atzmi rasha. That's one of them. So they don't qualify in this case. They cannot explain their Eidos. We know that people are not going to write on something that's wrong. If somebody paid up the shtar, the lender should tear it up, burn it right away. You are not permitted. It's an avla, because what happens? You know what happened, but your children don't know, and they're going to go with the shtar and try to take money out of somebody. It's going to be a terrible thing. If you have something like that, you got to distance from it. Ze shtar amana ushtar pasim. What's shtar pasim? Shtar amana we just spoke about, that it's a fake shtar. It didn't happen yet. I'm just holding on to it because I anticipate lending money to somebody and it didn't happen yet. Shtar pasim is crazy. Shtar pasim says, look how wealthy I am. Everybody owes me money. This guy owes me money. This guy owes me money. I'll explain with a story. There was Rothschild, the famous Rothschild, the big Gvir, went into a little village and he wanted to daven mincha. And they weren't starting at the posted time. So they said, what's going on here? He said, the parnas is not here yet. So who cares? We wait for the parnas. Kids are all of a sudden, this chashva guy with a hamburg comes in, his nose up in the air, he walks straight to the mizrach. No, can we start mincha? Yeah, okay, now we can start. Rothschild was not happy. The next day, they asked this parnas, "Can we give this guest an aliyah?" Yeah, okay, give him aliyah. So he says, by the aliyah, he says, "Ba'avur." So Rothschild says, not like deal, $52,000. He says, 18 times whatever this parnas is worth. So everybody's, woo, wow, geshmak, it's a lot of money for the city. Finally, we get. So they go to the parnas and they say, no, how much are you worth? He says, no, I can't say. How much are you worth? He's not going to say. So Rothschild said, so he said, but at least give us 10 times what he's worth. He says, whatever he's worth, whatever the accountant says he's worth, I'm going to give. The kid's bottom line is, not only was he worth zero, but he said, but look how the whole city trusts me and they signed over, people's invested with me. He says, oh, so you owe money. Not only are you worthless, you owe money. Okay, good. Nobody has to worry about this parnas. Who's this parnas b'chlal? Stop, because he wears a choshev hat and this and that. He's a garnished. That's a shtar pasim. Guy that makes a big, I know people, I bet one of my friends doesn't have a dime to whatever. He has to drive the nicest car so that everybody in the neighborhood should think he's a choshev guy. People do that. They do crazy things. The Chaim talks about it. Shtar pasim, he has a shtar that says that people stop to show that he's wealthy. But he's not wealthy at all. He's a garnished. Not that wealthy people are something and not. I'm just saying in terms of wealth, he's a garnished in wealth. So we have three things here: shtar amana, shtar pasim, shtar perua. It's already a paid up shtar. You shouldn't have it in your house. Says the Gemara, mandom shtar perua, kolchkin shtar amana. Amana is a joke. Amana never happened. It was never a loan. So of course you shouldn't have it in your house. If you have a shtar that used to be a good shtar, just so he paid it off, okay, it's a half a tzara. So if you're not allowed to even have a shtar perua, certainly you're not allowed to have this joke of amana. But if you say that you're not allowed to have in your house the shtar amana, shtar perua loy, it's not such a big deal. Why? The guy was so poor, the borrower, he didn't have the money. It's his responsibility to pay for the cipher and the paper. He didn't have the 52 cents that it cost for that. So he's leaving it over. He says, okay, you paid up the $1 million, but you still didn't pay 52 cents for the shtar. I'm going to leave the shtar in my house until you pay me the 52 cents. Okay, it's a shtickle problem. You shouldn't, but it happens. Itma. Sefer sheinu muga. If you have a sefer Torah, you have any sort of sefer. Omer Reb Ami Ashlishim Yoy Mutal Shoysay. Mikam ve'elach Asal Shoysay. I saw Reb Shabbos Frankel, the one that wrote the Rambam, the Frankel Rambam. He asked Rav Rosner, do we have a big chiyuv today to redo our shas because it has hundreds of mistakes in it, and they have the censor. A lot of the things it says ovid kechabe when it should say goy. We had the last sugi. It says knani when it really means whatever. Fine, and it was a whole nidain. Maybe it's avla in your house because that it goes. We're talking about chumash and those things in those days, but today you have a sefer that has mistakes in it. Maybe it's a problem. Yeah. He was matter for that. Okay. So mikam ve'ela chosel hashoyso mishum shenemar al tashkin boyalecha avla. So interesting. Rashi brings that it's Torah, Nevi'im, Ksuvim, and Shtares. So a combination of the Balaturim and the Ritva. I did this chart, not this one. This al is 31. 31 days. You can't leave it in your house. Al tashkin for 31 days, and the Ritva. I think the Ritva is the one that says that Tashkin is Rosh Tevis, Torah, Shtar, Ksuvim, and Navi. Those are the four things that Rashi says. Okay, there's somebody here, I forgot who it was, maybe it was... Okay, somebody here that just married off his son, came over to me last month, and said that he put his son's tefillin by the cipher, and his son's tefillin were missing a word. His son didn't wear tefillin his entire life until his chasana. But the famous story, somebody came to Chaim He says, my son, every time he eats and eats, he doesn't stop eating. He's never full. So he says, check your mezuzah. They checked the mezuzah. It says, instead of v'chalta v'sabat, it says v'chalta v'chalta. So you gotta, that's avla, b'sach beisoy. Don't leave an avla. Omar, Rav Nachman, Eidem shomru amonu hoy dvarenu ein nemanim. Moidai dvarenu. Okay, so Rav Nachman says, now we have a new concept. Beautiful. We're going through concepts here, Rabbi Isai. For those of us, Chazara, and it's new for some people. We have the idea of amana. Amana is, I'm going to write a star because right now I want to give you all my collateral, and next week you're going to give me the money, and that didn't happen. Don't ever do that. It's not a good idea. There's also something called a meidah, and this is very important. Sometimes people write a star, but they whisper to the edim, they say, this is under duress. You're going to sign here, you should know, I don't agree to this. I don't know this guy $1 million. If you look under the table, there's a bomb about to explode and he's holding the trigger. So I'm going to write it, but you sign it. When we get out of here, you'll run to Bezin, please, and tell them the truth. That's a meidah. Meiser meidah. Now, that doesn't, if we go back to the 2 boxes, it's not rishus. Ain't no the Mesimatz Rasha, but they had a sign because this guy's going to blow up. He has a ticking bomb. If they say we signed on a document that there's never a loan, that's rishus. So they can't be believed that they did something that's a rishus. But the guy told us under the table, he whispered to us, he gave us a note saying that this is a lie, the whole thing is false, and we're going to sign it, and later on we're going to take care of it. Then they're believed because they're not rishayim. Says the Gemara, what did I just say? By amana not, maidah. Oh, maidah ha'yudvarenu ein emanim, he says. Sorry, did I say yes? Over here, Rav Nachman says ein emanim. Why? Because they want to explain a little bit how is this different than our Mishnah. We have to understand that for a second. In our Mishnah, a guy says, I signed on the star, but I had a gun to my head. And over here also, there's a gun to that guy's head. But in the Mishnah, he's saying the star was never a star for even 1 second. I had a gun to my head, so I signed falsely. Over here, they're saying, no, we signed, it was a good signature, but I'm going to tell you later on that's not good. That's how they're massive. Rashi says that when you're Meiser Meidah, you explain why the star is not a good star, they're believed, they're not Rishayim. My timer, Hi Nitan Lekasev, the Meidah, you want to save the guy's life. So that's why you signed your name. But by Amana, you had no business signing a star that didn't take place yet. So Nachamal, we're going back to this box. The beautiful case. A guy says, listen to this, it happens all the time. I will sell you my house in Flatbush, which is worth $2 million minimum. I'm selling it to you for $100,000. Let's write a star. Okay. But why is the guy doing it? Because he tells the Edom in a secret, because this guy, I'm selling him the house for $100,000, he's the brother of the mayor. And he's going to get my business. Kitzer, I'm selling you my house now for $100,000. Don't ask any questions, but there's a Tanai here. He's going to have to get me that connection with the mayor. But the whole star is based on the Tanai. Without a Tanai, there's no star. So does it fit into these boxes? Shuvloi Magid. The Edom have no right to say, there's a Tanai. But they're not explain. It's something in addition to the star. It's not in the star. They're not explaining the star was under duress. Star is perfect. By the way, something else on the side happened. There was a certain Tanai going on. Are they Rishayim? No, they're not Rishayim. So it's a good shaila here. It's different than everything we learned. It's not Amana. It's not Pasim. It's not, what's the other one? Maidah. This is a Tanai. Everybody's allowed to make a Tanai. I'm going to sell you my house. You'll do 500 jumping jacks tomorrow. It's in addition to the star. Says the Gemara. When you say it was a Maidah, it was a Amana, you're trying to uproot the star and say the star never existed. In a way, you're saying since the guy didn't make the introduction to the mayor, so the whole star is uprooted. Or maybe it's a side thing. It's a good shaila. He says at the end of the day they're believed. Why? Because when they come to us in front of the din, it's a side deal. Here's a star, I'm going to sell you my house for $100,000. We have a side deal. Do your side deal and then come and sign on the, and then bring the star. Okay, if that's the case, that we could believe Eidim, that there's a deal here, what about if one of the two Eidim said there's a deal? Okay, they're both testifying about a good star. No, they first testified it's a good star. Now one guy wants to undo it. Says Rav Huna, I don't understand what you're talking about. If we already established that it's a good star, then they shouldn't be believed that there's a side deal and uproot the star. We already testified the star is good. What's the difference between 1 and 2? If one guy doesn't have the right to uproot the star, then two of them don't have the right. Says the Gemara, Rav Yeshua, that one aid is believed that there was a side deal, and since he's one, he ruins his whole testimony, and if you don't have two aidim on the star, it's a bad star. Have a wonderful day.